At 1 a.m., the world is supposed to be asleep. Streets empty, lives quiet, secrets tucked away. But that night, when I heard the soft knock on my door, 3 gentle taps, too polite to be danger but too desperate to be normal, I felt something shift in the air. When I opened it and saw my best friend's sister, Maya, standing there in the cold with her hoodie pulled tight and her eyes swollen from crying, she leaned close, trembling, and whispered, "Don't say a word." And in that moment, before I even understood anything, I knew my life was about to intertwine with hers in a way neither of us could reverse. She walked into my small apartment like someone running from a ghost. Her hands were shaking so badly she kept them hidden inside her sleeves. I wanted to ask 100 questions, but her plea kept replaying in my head. So I waited. I sat on the couch beside her, the silence thick enough to choke on, until finally she exhaled a shaky breath and said, "I didn't know where else to go." Hearing that broke something in me, not because she came here, but because she believed she had no one else. Maya had always been the strong one, the girl who smiled too big, laughed too loud, and lit up every room her brother and I ever hung out in. She wasn't supposed to be trembling like a leaf. She wasn't supposed to look like she'd seen something she wasn't meant to witness. And yet here she was, at my door, at an hour when good news never arrives. When she finally spoke again, her voice cracked in places she couldn't hide. "If my brother finds out I'm here, if anyone finds out, actually, everything gets worse." I felt her words sink into me like a lead weight. She didn't need comfort yet, she needed safety. So I nodded, keeping my voice low, gentle, obedient. "You're safe here. You don't have to explain yet." Her shoulders relaxed just a little, enough for her to take a breath without shaking. I got her a blanket and set a glass of water on the table. She wrapped herself in it like she was trying to keep her heart from falling apart. When she finally told me why she came, the truth wasn't loud, dramatic, or chaotic. It was quiet, the kind of quiet that comes from months of carrying too much alone. Maya had been struggling with pressure at home, expectations she couldn't meet, heartaches she didn't share, and fears she didn't know how to process. She'd overheard a conversation between her parents about sending her away for correction, a boarding program known for harsh rules, emotional manipulation, and zero understanding of mental health. Her brother didn't know. She didn't tell him. She didn't tell anyone. She just ran. I listened to her in a way that felt different from anything I'd ever done before. It wasn't like hearing a story. It was like being handed someone's fragile truth with both my hands shaking. She asked if she could stay just for tonight, but the way she said it told me she didn't expect to be allowed tomorrow anywhere. That night, she fell asleep on my couch, breathing unevenly, clutching the blanket like a lifeline. I stayed awake, guarding her peace like it was my duty. I didn't realize then that this was the beginning of something bigger, something messy, painful, and beautiful. I only knew that she knocked, she whispered, she trusted me, and that trust was heavier than any promise I'd made before. The next morning, the sunlight didn't warm the room, it exposed it. My phone had 10 missed calls, from her brother, from mutual friends, from numbers I didn't recognize. The world was looking for her. But she was still asleep, exhausted, and for the first time in a long time, peaceful. I couldn't wake her, not yet. So I turned off the phone and decided I'd rather be the villain in someone else's story than abandon her in her own. When she woke, guilt clouded her face. "I shouldn't be here," she murmured, pulling the blanket close as if it made her smaller. I shook my head. "You came here because you trusted me. That matters." She stared at me for a long moment, eyes glassy, like she was trying to decide if she was allowed to believe that. Over the next day, everything grew more complicated. Her family called the police. Rumors spread. People assumed she ran away for reasons far more dramatic than the truth. Only she and I knew the real weight she'd been carrying, expectations so heavy they crushed her breath, fear so quiet it felt invisible to everyone but her. I tried to convince her to talk to her brother, but every time, panic filled her eyes. She wasn't ready. She wasn't strong enough yet. So I stayed close. I made her eat. I made her laugh. I let her cry without asking her to explain. And slowly, the trembling in her hands started to fade, but peace isn't permanent. Especially not when fear has roots. On the second night, she finally broke. "I'm so tired of pretending I'm fine," she whispered. "I'm tired of being everyone's responsibility and no one's priority." Hearing that hit me hard. And maybe it hit me because I'd been that kid too once, quietly drowning while everyone admired how well I swam. So I told her the truth. My truth. The nights I'd slept on park benches after running from my own family's chaos. The years I spent trying to unlearn shame. The wounds I hid because people only love you when you look unbroken. She listened like I was giving her permission to be human, and then she said something I'll never forget. Do you ever stop being scared? I paused. Then I told her the most honest answer I had, not really. But you learn to walk with the fear instead of running from it. That line changed everything between us. It didn't make us romantic. It made us real. As the hours passed, she grew braver. She agreed to talk to her brother, only him. And when he arrived, angry and terrified, I stood between them like a shield. But the moment he saw her, really saw her, his anger melted into grief. Why didn't you tell me? He whispered. She cried. He cried. And I stepped back, letting siblings repair what silence had broken. But the biggest moment came later, when she looked at me after telling him everything. Her eyes weren't full of fear anymore, they were full of something steady, grateful, quietly strong. You didn't save me, she said softly. You helped me save myself. And that was the truth. In the end, she didn't get sent away. Her parents realized too late how much they ignored her voice. Counseling began. Communication opened. Nothing became perfect, but things became possible. Weeks later, she knocked on my door again. Not trembling this time. Not whispering. She smiled, shy but steady. I'm better now, she said. But I didn't want to stop thanking the person who didn't ask me to be okay before I was ready. I didn't know what to say. So I didn't. I just smiled back, understanding that some connections aren't about romance, they're about timing, empathy, and being the one safe place someone can fall without breaking. And even now, I still remember that first night, that 1 a.m. knock, that whispered, don't say a word, that pulled me into the kind of story you don't just live through, you grow through. It taught me that sometimes, you don't need to rescue someone. You just need to open the door, and that simple act can change everything.